This is the first time I have dreaded making a review, so chances are you're not going to like what I have to say about episode 6. I really disliked a lot of what was going on in this episode of Game of Thrones, and knowing a lot of people worship every episode of the show, I understand this review is probably going to upset you. First off, I like the Arya scenes, regardless of the changes they made from the book. It's an interesting storyline, and I like an older, more defiant Arya as she's learning to take on her new life. I now really want to know if the story the girl told Arya was true or not. The Room of Faces was amazing as well. I'm also excited to see where Arya's storyline is going, if we're getting Cat and Mercy soon. If Arya wakes up blind for the season finale, I really wouldn't be surprised at all. Maybe Arya's going to kill a certain Tyrell and then she's going to be punished for it. Jorah and Tyrion are a blast. At the same time, the actor for Jorah did an amazing job conveying the grief from losing his father. I love Jorah's face when Tyrion is talking about how he murdered his own father, Tywin, and Jorah's just like, oh man, that's terrible. And then Tyrion goes on and fucking the woman I love, and Jorah's thinking, damn dude, TMI. Tyrion saving his own life by bragging about having an average-sized dick, kinda awesome. I want to see Tyrion and Daenerys together so bad now. When Tyrion asked about whether birthing dragons makes Daenerys worthy of ruling the Seven Kingdoms, it made me want this even more. Tyrion is going to have that brutal honesty that Daenerys definitely needs. Littlefinger's plan is making a bit more sense now. I don't think he's truly saying F you to Sansa. Littlefinger wants the realm weakened so he can move into power. Stannis and the Boltons will slaughter each other, and Littlefinger can move in with his Vale soldiers and clean up Winterfell. Peter would most likely keep Sansa alive, take her as wife, getting his cat 2.0, and if Cersei, if she even has power at this point when it happens, is like, hey, no, you gotta kill Sansa, Littlefinger can say, hey, no, we need Sansa to stabilize the North, it's necessary, but, Littlefinger can be like, oh, but I promise you I'll make Sansa's life a living hell, or as soon as she has an heir for Winterfell, something tragic will happen to her. So Littlefinger kind of has this whole thing figured out. The Tyrells and Lannisters are going to be too busy fighting with each other to worry about the North, and the North is going to be taken care of when Stannis and the Boltons go crazy on each other, and Littlefinger thinks that he'll just walk right in with his own army. In the end, I still hold to book Littlefinger would run circles around show Littlefinger, but this is starting to make a little bit more sense. Olenna and Cersei and the trial of Loras. First off, right off the bat, the actress for the Queen of Thorns is fantastic. Her eyes during the trial were just right on point. I did also like if you notice Cersei's negotiation tactics are very similar to her father's. Make someone sit in their chair while you continue to pen stuff out. The trial of Loras was just bad, and this isn't from the book perspective. I know the reasons for the arrest and trial are different. We don't see Loras arrested in the books for being gay, and I get the changes. They bring in Loras' squire to testify against him, and it's proven he's gay and that he slept with Loras because he knew the location of a birthmark on Loras' upper thigh. You know who would know about a birthmark on someone's upper thigh? A squire. Loras' squire who is testifying against him. Squires dress and undress you, make sure your armor fits, attends you. Heck, we've even read about a squire helping bathe the knight they're serving in George R. Martin's books. As well, squires most likely have seen their knight washing in the river on a journey, or maybe this guy is just a pervert and snuck a peek at Loras. Loras attacking him was poorly done. Olenna or Loras should have rationally explained this wasn't really evidence. Well, maybe not Loras. Even in the books, Loras is this hot-headed guy. So his temper is going to lead to his end, which is fitting from what we know of him from the books. But that's still just crazy logic. How does him knowing Loras has a birthmark on him prove Marjorie even knew about Loras being gay in the first place? Because a dude says so? That's some hardcore jumping of logic. The only thing that makes this believable is the show is trying to get across that the faith militant are just extremists who follow zero logic, even if they did have their own brand of logic in the books. But regardless of how ridiculous the whole trial was, I really think this was just the show creators' way of cutting out the extra characters that would participate in the trials so that they could save money and time and episodes and all that. Loras will most likely die here, no Dragonstone attack, Marjorie's arrested, and Lancel will tell the High Sparrow about him and Cersei, making the famous Hart next to be arrested. Tommen not doing anything about Marjorie being taken away was a little frustrating, but I imagine D&D are trying to illustrate that Tommen is a gentle, kind boy, but not fit to be king, and that someone better is going to need to replace him for the good of the realm. Tommen isn't a little boy playing with cats like in the book, so I guess this is the next best way to show us why Tommen isn't right for the realm. especially in its current state. Alright, are you ready for the super negative part? Dorne is a joke in this show. And I'm not saying it's a joke because of book changes, though that does add to my personal dislike of the Jaime scenes. When the Sand Snakes and Jaime and Bronn entered the gardens at the same time, I don't know if they thought it would be comedic or add tension, but it was just cringy. I wanted to insert Scooby-Doo or Monty Python music into the scene. And what are the Sand Snakes thinking? Hey, us three women with our super distinct weapon set are going to sneak into the water gardens. Yeah, the water gardens are open, but come on. The fight scene between the Sand Snakes and Jaime/Bronn was exactly as Bronn put it. Oh, for fuck's sake. I don't want to put the clips on here for copyright problems, but watch the fight. Did any of them know how to use their weapons? Because it didn't really look like it. I want to believe for some reason they filmed when the actors were only walking through their choreography of the fight, and that they accidentally used that video instead of the actual full-speed fight scene. I don't know, it has to be something like that. I did enjoy Bronn straight punching them in the face though and saying they fight well for a little girl. 100% Bronn. And they focused way too hard on Bronn getting cut, so I imagine Bronn's poisoned now, and we might be saying bye to Bronn soon. I'm just hoping it wasn't poisoned and the showrunner's reason for it is because it was just a snatch and run mission, not a kill mission, so the Sand Snakes wouldn't risk using poison on their weapons. And then the Sansa scenes, which is being very heavily debated right now on the internet. The Mary Sue even issued a statement saying they will no longer cover any Game of Thrones media due to her rape scene. And I'm not saying the changes to Sansa's storyline are great, nor that this is where I wanted the story to go. I like the fake Arya storyline. That being said, people had to see this coming. If Ramsay wasn't a sick, twisted fuck to Sansa, it would have been completely out of character. He can pretend to be something better, but in the end, he will revert to his purely evil self. So when they changed fake Arya to Sansa, this was going to happen. I know some people were hoping Sansa would dupe him and play him hard, but she's a young teen who is having sex for the first time with the son of the man that murdered her brother and mother. I don't know of anyone that is like this sexual force to be reckoned with their first time. Maybe they should have had Littlefinger teach her how to seduce men, and then we would have had her using that advice against Ramsay, but the showrunners chose not to. Now that she is experienced with sex though, she might start to use it as a weapon. In the future, she can start to manipulate Ramsay if that's where they're going. I'm hoping D&D had some bigger plans for this whole Sansa and Winterfell stuff, minus them saying they wanted to feature Sophia Turner more. And maybe they're trying to harden her for taking on some of Lady Stoneheart's roles from the books. I do think it's unfair to say Sansa will always be the victim after this scene though. She can still pull through this and get stronger, whether it was necessary or unnecessary to use rape as that motivator. Please let this be a catalyst for change in Sansa and not just Theon. Let's cross our fingers and hope this is a build-up to something bigger, and possibly where Sansa stabs Ramsay over and over again. Theon's actor needs a gold star. The emotion and conflict on his face are always well done. When he's giving away Sansa at the wedding and he's saying his name, it was believable to me that he's starting to snap out of his reek trance. And thank you D&D for not including Theon using his mouth on Ramsay's bride bit. If we can also leave out the dogs, that would be great. So I'm hoping episode 7 is better, even though this episode wasn't completely terrible. We have 4 more episodes. Hold on to hope.